So crazy looking back, Elisha.
Yeah.
Like I would have never thought we would have been those parents. And then looking back, it's still hard for me to believe that we did that.
Our children were only viewing screens as this mean of entertainment and of pleasure. And it was all they want, even though they would only do it for, 30 minutes a day, say, it's what they wanted all day long. That's the same reason we got rid of it for ourselves, is because we wanted to, I felt like we were doing our kids a favor, where we were all like, wait a second, there's so much more to life that we want to experience. And it seems like we keep gravitating towards the screens. Let's just eliminate these things. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the podcast. As many of you know, Katie and I made the decision a couple years back to become a screen-free family. No smartphones, no tablets, no iPads, a laptop computer, no televisions, no 3D printers. Wait, those aren't screens. No Blu-ray, anything. No Blu-rays, no what else is that? I'm trying to think of other screen things. What do people use for screens? And how do other people consume screens?
I don't know. I mean, I think you covered a lot of them.
Yeah, no projectors in our home. And maybe we've changed since last time you heard us share an update on what we're doing with screens. In fact, we probably have changed because we have experienced a recent change in this MO within our household. And so we're going to share what that new MO is in the Vogtberg household. Thank you, folks, for listening to our podcast. And for those of you that have taken the time to leave a rating or a review, we really appreciate that. We've been able to go over to Spotify and read some of those because for the longest time, I don't know if you always could leave ratings and reviews on Spotify, but anyways, there's a lot more on there now, so we appreciate those. So if you listen on Spotify or iTunes and you've been able to leave a rating a review, thank you for that. And then, for those of you that watch on YouTube, thank you for subscribing to our channel or liking our video or leaving a comment. That helps our podcast reach more people, helps it grow, and it enables us to do this more. And it also helps us get guests on that maybe we wouldn't be coming on the show because we'd invite them on the show and they're like, it's probably not worth my time. And we're like, hey, totally get it. But then you guys start leaving ratings and reviews. You guys start, liking and subscribing to the channel. And then we ask them to be on the podcast and they look over and they're like, you know what, that would be worth my time. And so we're thankful to you for helping us reach more people and then have more people on, have more guests on. All right, that's all I have to say. So let's get this thing rolling.
The Now That We're a Family podcast.
Okay, so I'm excited to hear what Elisha has to say on this episode because I don't feel like my stance has changed too much, but we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so you guys are going to hear where we're at with everything. And so maybe just to share, do you want to start out by saying what we do use for screens or what our current? So we got away from screens for a few reasons. We never had a TV in our home because we didn't grow up with TVs. But then we started realizing that we had all this other technology that our parents didn't have that we were streaming on and viewing just like a TV. And we were getting so many ads. And, the whole reason our parents didn't want televisions in our home were because, probably a lot of reasons, but one of the primary reasons was commercials. And you couldn't control the content coming into your home. And so we would have a VHS player and we put in the VHS and then later the DVD player because we knew that what we were going to see was on that, my parents okayed whatever was on the tape, right? And then we get YouTube and we get all kinds of things that the internet has to offer, social media, and we just don't want our kids to have access to all these things either that we haven't previewed. And screens were becoming so prevalent in our lives, we just realized that they were taking away from our lives more than they were adding to our lives. So we wanted to use screens as a tool, which is why we didn't get rid of our laptop computers. They enable us to run online businesses, and that was important to us. They enable us to record the podcast, which is something we love to do. But while we didn't get away from the computers, we kind of were able to I don't know, view every other screen and decide that they were not adding to our life. They were taking away from it. And so we just got rid of them. So we've been without smartphones for a few years now. I mean, Elisha has been for a few years. I think it's been 3 years for me, maybe 4 years for you.
5 for me, yeah.
5 for you.
I mean, it will be, it was 2020. So it's been 4, and in September, it'll be 5 years. So 4.5 years.
Yeah. And that's something I definitely do not regret. I feel like more and more people are realizing that they can live without their smartphones and they enjoy life better without their smartphones. I have so many friends that are replacing their phones now. And I feel like when we did it a few years ago, it was like crazy. People were like, are you serious? That's possible. And now there are so many phones on the market. I feel like every provider is coming out with a phone now that is a lot more, that's just dumber. Right? That has less capabilities, but has maybe, your GPS that you still like to use, or still has a camera. You can kind of pick and choose your features now instead of having all access. So anyways, I'm just going on and on, but that's kind of where we're at right now with our screens.
Yeah. And from the beginning, our motivation in getting rid of our smartphones or getting rid of any, I don't know, we actually never had like tablets or iPads. But when we really started stripping away screens from our life, it wasn't because we felt the need to deprive ourselves of pleasure or deprive ourselves of fun. We didn't think media was inherently wrong, right? Because obviously media or the medium in which you're consuming something, whether that's books or whether it's a screen or whether it's audio, like the platform itself is kind of amoral, right? But oftentimes the things that are being translated through that platform, and I would say this actually, not each one of those mediums are the same. I think each one of those have their own strengths and pitfalls. And I do think that like just the actual light and what's happening to your brain because of the screen, even if you're consuming the same information, for instance, reading a book on a computer screen or a TV screen versus from the pages of a book, I do think it is less optimal. So anyways, but that's neither here nor there because that's not the point. The point I was trying to make is that we didn't feel any need to deprive ourselves of fun or of pleasure. We, in a lot of ways, we went screen free for very like hedonistic reasons and very gratifying reasons, and that we felt like we got more out of life when we did not have screens. And then there was an element of wanting to be more productive as well. And so we wanted to enjoy life more. We also wanted to be more productive with our time and steward our time more wisely. Now, obviously, technology and smartphones in particular, and really any device that is able to, that you're able to download applications, the tools which you can access can make you far more productive and useful, right? In your career, in your business. That was not our experience. Okay. We were working online at the time that we got rid of our smartphones. Instagram was a huge marketing platform for us. Again, we were on YouTube. I don't think we were using Facebook at the time, but we were using our phones. You could argue that we were using our phones well for our businesses. And yet we still felt like we were more productive in our businesses when we got rid of our phones and just used a computer. And so we didn't get rid of our phones thinking that we were being more holy, more righteous, or, like better people than we were before. We did it really because we enjoyed life more. And we felt like we were able to get closer to our goals in a more rapid rate. At least that was my perspective. I don't know if you had the same perspective or if there was an element of feeling like the things themselves were kind of icky or a pitfall for you.
Oh, I mean, there were definitely huge hangups for me. Yeah, definitely. Being on social media, I just felt like it's funny. You think of space. I'm thinking of that quote while you're speaking, and it's like it fills the time allotted. Like what you have to do fills the time allotted. I don't know exactly how that goes, but basically with our smartphones, it gives us access 24/7 to everything we need to do. And as a result, procrastination skyrockets. And I feel like I went from having a laptop to then when my last laptop got destroyed, now we just have one laptop in the family, and I actually got a desktop Mac computer. And that is in one of the children's rooms right now. We don't keep that in our room, and it is very heavily password protected and all those things. It's kind of sketchy to say like, oh yeah, we put our computer in the kids' room. But the reason why it's stored in there and not in our room is it limits the time that I am able to access that computer. And there's a couple reasons actually.
Okay.
I am so productive on that computer when I get on it because I know that when the kids go to bed, I'm not working in the evenings anymore on the computer. It's like I have to get it done while that room is open and not while the children are sleeping in it or doing something else in it. And so it just has made it super, super productive. And I feel like that's the same way with a lot of the way that Elisha and I use technology now. It's in such a small time frame and it's so concentrated that our brain stops coming up with excuses to procrastinate. It kind of goes, okay, now's your time. You better get it done. Mm-hmm. And I love those compressed timeframes when it comes to technology.
I can remember watching a webinar that a writer, it was like how to earn money blogging, or it was just like how to start a blog. And I was watching this free webinar, and a hack that he used for himself and that he recommended using to, kind of mitigate procrastination and wasting time was that he would never bring a computer charger with him when he would go to write or get his to-do list done, like at a coffee shop.
That's brilliant.
And so he knew he was working with a limited, resource. So he's like, okay, the power is going to run out of my computer. And it really helped him prioritize what he needed to do. Because I'm with you, Katie, when there is limited time, you find a way to get the things done that need done. But if you've got your device with you, 24/7, and you're like, well, yeah, I'm going to do these productive things with my device. You find yourself at least I found myself doing everything but the thing that I knew I needed to do. I was avoiding the one thing. And again, that's just, one of those principles that so many different, I guess, coaches or business experts will talk about is creating, that one thing for the week, or write down your 3 priorities for that day and just like limit yourself to those 3, like do those 3 and then have another 3 the next day and another 3 the next day. And I think we almost forced ourselves to do that when we stripped away technology. Anyways, so those were a lot of our motivations in getting rid of our smartphones and minimizing our screen use for ourselves personally, right? I think for our children, we had gotten to the place of putting a show on for pretty much any reason under the sun, right? Like we would, I need to get some work done. So I'm going to go put a screen on, turn a show on really quick. Oh, I need to take a shower and the kids are, all up. I'm going to put a show on. Oh, I'm preparing a meal. I'm going to go put a show on, or, I want to get some more sleep. We'd go put a show on. And so
it's so crazy looking back, Elisha.
Yeah.
Like I would have never thought we would have been those parents. And then looking back, it's still hard for me to believe that we did that.
Yeah. Not wild.
If you want to have more free time to do the things that you love to do and become more efficient at the tasks that you have to do each day, join the Get It All Done Club. There's thousands of women who have been through the program and who are currently in our private community that is off of social media. I'm in there monthly, live, answering your questions, talking with you guys, adding new content monthly. If you would like to get a little taste of what I teach in the Get It All Done Club and see a behind the scenes of what the program actually looks like, I do have a free masterclass for you guys. It's linked down below, and it will teach you how to have a more peacefully productive home this week. It's like, what? I don't know.
It is. It's wild. And yeah, that was probably solid.
I feel like there are things. Okay, sorry, I know I'm cutting you off, but in terms of how often our kids watch shows, I would say it was probably 30 minutes a day, but it was a consistent 30 minutes a day, if that makes sense. It's usually in the afternoons, like between dinner time or right after dinner time when things were a little stressful. So it wasn't like we didn't do like even Saturday morning cartoons, or we didn't take screens with us. Again, we never had any portable screens. We never let our kids use our phones. So it wasn't like we were going out to restaurants and using a screen, or going through the grocery store. We didn't ever have screens in the car. Yeah, we just never used things like that. So, I mean, the only reason I'm saying this is so you guys can know, like, it can be hard to wean children off screens. So depending on how much your children are using screens, if this is a desire in your home, our kids were already we didn't have super far to go. Mm-hmm. It was probably 30 minutes a day that we had to nix.
Yes.
It was in like they had expectations for more than that. But looking back, it was still a lot.
Yeah.
And that it was daily, which is
Right.
crazy.
Right. And I think that the reason we wanted to go ahead and just get our kids off of screens is because people talk about, we've already talked about how useful of a tool screens can be. Our children were only viewing screens as this mean of entertainment and of pleasure. And it was all they want, even though they would only do it for, 30 minutes a day, say, it's what they wanted all day long. They would ask for it numerous times.
Yes.
Like if they knew it was an option, it was always their first choice. And so we found ourselves battling that on a regular basis. And so that's what led to us just eliminating it altogether for our children, being like, we're just not going to do this. And by say eliminating it altogether, I mean, I think over the last, because this happened, 2.5 years ago, I don't want to, I want to be accurate here. So I'm really trying to be accurate. We've maybe watched as a family 20 movies over the last 2.5 years.
I'd say probably a lot less than that.
Less than 20 movies?
I mean, I think we watch about one every couple months right now.
Yeah, I would say like 6 to 8 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 to 8 a year.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's been
6 to
2.5
8 a year.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anywhere from 15 to 20 movies. And a lot of times we will break one movie up into like 3 months, or to multiple sittings. We did that with, Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah. So like Fiddler on the Roof, we were postpartum. And for that one, we did back to back to back to back. We probably did 4 nights in a row, like 20 or 30 minutes a night. And that was our movie for those couple months. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it was multiple family movie nights.
You might be right though, Katie, because the entire time we were at the tent, we watched one movie.
Yeah, so that was 6 months.
That was 6 months, and we watched that horse movie.
Yeah,
yeah,
the Black Stallion.
Yeah,
that was a good movie.
Yeah, it was.
There's like no talking in it.
All right.
It's really.
Was it Black Beauty or Black?
The Black Stallion.
The Black Stallion. Okay.
Yeah. It was those do get tricky.
Yeah.
Those are hard to keep straight. But yeah. So that being said, we do enjoy family movie nights. Right. It's something we look forward to. It is a real treat in our home. We all love it. But this has really opened up a lot of time to be able to do other things we love as a family as well. And I think that's what I love is that all those nights that we weren't watching movies, we were, legit like memorizing poetry, reading good books. Yeah. And we were enjoying it, singing worship songs and enjoying it more than the movie. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, it freed up. One of us would do the reading or the teaching or whatever. Elisha did the teaching, I did the reading. And then it would free up one of us to be fully on top of the toddler and working with them during that time. When we were watching a movie, Elisha and I would want to be engaged in the movie and just kind of pacifying the younger child. And so now we feel like it's just a lot healthier in general for us. We love it. And again, we love our movie nights. It's not like the kids were saying, some of their friends have a weekly movie night and they were like, what if we did a monthly movie night? And I was like, I don't know, that could be fun. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to make any promises because if it's like, we don't have that craving, I guess.
Yeah. And I think it's
like one thing we do as a family.
And that's really what our goal was. It wasn't to never allow our children to watch movies or to never consume anything on screens. We really wanted to just create within them a new appetite because it seemed like that's all they wanted. At 4, 5, and 6 years of age, that's all they would ask for. That's all they would talk about. And then we found ourselves doing the same thing as adults, where it's like the kids would go to bed. And on paper, if you were to ask me what were my hobbies, I'd say, playing music or reading books or, I like at the time, I wanted to, clean my guns and whatever, do or go out, train jujitsu, or I had a whole array or assortment of hobbies that I would have told you I wanted to do with my free time. And yet what did I do 99% of the time with my free time is just consume stuff on my device, on some device. And so, that's the same reason we got rid of it for ourselves is because I felt like we were doing our kids a favor where we were all like, wait a second, there's so much more to life that we want to experience. And it seems like we keep gravitating towards the screens. Let's just eliminate these things. And our hope is that, and I think this served us, is that Katie and I started viewing screens as a tool. We're like, this is going to serve us. And so we're going to, yes, are we going to watch an occasional movie? Absolutely. But it's going to be so intentional, right? It's not going to be accidental. It's not going to be like, well, this is what we do, so what can you find? And you're just scrolling through things, trying to find something that looks mediocre and then giving it a shot. It's like when we were going to watch a movie, we were thoughtful about it. We're like, oh, I'm excited about this. We really enjoyed it, and soaked it up. Otherwise, we were working on our computers, or we were creating on our computers, and really using them, in my mind, as a tool and in a way that served our family. And what's cool, and this is we're getting to the plot twist here from my perspective, is that into the plot twist is that sure enough, over time, because of our kids getting older, we have started using our upstairs computer, the desktop computer, as a means of, primarily music lessons, because our favorite piano teacher, Katie's sister, Kelsey, doesn't live close by. And so our children do the Voteberg Music Academy piano lessons on the computer. And
that's another reason why we have the desktop computer in the kids' room.
It's where the piano's at.
It's on top of the piano.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason I'm really thrilled about this is because our children are viewing a computer right now as this thing. They're not viewing it as this source of just, all I want to do is go to the computer for all my fun. Like, that's not always the first thing they're thinking of, but they're using a computer in a productive way. And I know that's not, because of technology and the way scientists and all those people that are figuring out a way to manipulate us, even if, like, you still get sucked into the draw of things on a screen, right? Like, I don't think you're ever beyond being pulled into it. And I say that saying, like, I think we're in a really good place now with screens, but I don't think we've always been in a good place with screens, even though our heart wasn't to be consuming a lot on screens. And so I think you can get pulled into it very quickly. But our overall perspective, I think, of screens is at a place that I am really grateful for. We're not scared of these things. We're not like, I guess, trying to avoid them like they're going to cause all this harm, even though obviously we've had Dr. Kadaris on here. We still are true believers in the damage that screen time can have on children's brains, right? And that is having on children's brains, depending on the time that they're putting in, that they have in front of it and what they're consuming on the screen, and so, so on and so forth. So we still hold all those convictions. And yet we've found a way, I think, right now to really have screens serve us. And that was our motivation all along. And so that's kind of why I thought I would do a little recap as to where we're currently at.
Yeah, you're right. No, that is different because our kids are at an age where they can now control a computer. And we do absolutely want to use the internet as a resource and a tool because, we get to live here in North Idaho and connect with all you guys because of technology. And technology is so powerful. We want our children to be able to leverage it. And there are certain things that are important to us when it comes to our children learning on social media, because there are so many learning apps out there. And a lot of learning apps that, when you look at the third-party research, children's brains are not actually retaining any of the knowledge that is going on through the apps. They're playing the leapfrog game. They're playing whatever it is. They're playing the math quiz games. And then the retention is so minimal for how much time they're putting in. And so that's something that we're really aware of when it comes to learning apps for our kids. We have done a live, a Zoom speakers, what was it? A speakers league for our son when he was 6. And he was on Zoom. There were, there's live faces, nothing's animated on it. And he was able to practice off of the screen. And that's something that we really love. We really want screens when it comes to education for our children. We are going to use the screen, but what we wanted to do is facilitate more in-person connection, facilitate a hobby or a skill set that can be enjoyed offline. And so that's one reason, we aren't getting our kids into some kind of computer programming or video editing or something right now at their ages, because that has to be enjoyed and learned and used with technology. And we don't want I'm not saying sometime in the future they won't be doing that stuff, but that's not what we want to facilitate right now. So for instance, with the Speakers League.
Thanks, buddy.
What can I find to give him? So for instance, with the Speakers League, it facilitated real life communication skills that he's able to use offline. And we love that. It's the same thing with Voteberg Music Academy. Obviously, it's our own program. But I do say that, like, we have been very intentional because we do use it with our children. And so people have, we've talked to different people on how to grow Voteberg Music Academy as a business, and animation is a big way to grow learning apps for kids. And that's something that it doesn't matter to us. Like, we aren't doing animation. Our children don't watch animated things when it comes to learning if we can help it. Or, we don't even watch cartoons as a family. Cars 2. I grew up on like Cars or Cinderella. Like, if we're going to watch a movie, it's going to be real people. And so that's really important to us. It's funny. It's even things like pen and paper quizzes that we have on there, or the live calls are live interaction with people. It's boring, it's slow, and the kids actually learn very rapidly on there, which I love. Because I love in-person stuff so much, though, when it came to our kids' music lessons, I thought, you know what, this is great for people who don't have access to a teacher, but I think I'll sign up our kids for in-person piano lessons. But this is the thing. I'm biased, okay? But when it came to our own children and signing them up for piano lessons, it's like no one taught as efficiently, as effectively as my sister teaches online. And it's just, I've never seen anyone use her method anywhere else. And so it's like, once the kids learn a song, they will know that song because of how she teaches it when they're 40 years old. They just will. They cannot forget it. And I know that sounds silly, but it's true. And I don't want my kids to be one of those that says, hey, I took piano lessons and then they weren't able to actually, recall anything that they learned as an adult. Yeah. So anyways, it's the same thing with like being able to play on the student showcases. They have a monthly way to show what they do and have goals that they work towards, and they love the badges. And it's funny. So when it even came to our own kids, it was like, this is the most effective tool, again, using technology. Sometimes technology is the most effective thing we can use, even over an in-person interaction. So yeah, because I guess that's something that we're going to consider going forward with all our kids' education. And
yeah, because I think going back to before you started the commercial for Voteberg Music Academy.
It wasn't a commercial, though. You guys don't buy Voteberg Music Academy because I said so. I'm just saying why we're using it. In our thought process.
What led you to saying that is that we really want, and this is how I view it for myself, is what I'm consuming on the screen going to enable me to go do something with my hands or away from the screen more effectively. And I'm not saying that the screen in of itself can't be that can be the ends too. If you just want to enjoy a movie, that is fine. And we do that from time to time. But I want the majority of my, of my time on a screen to enhance in a very practical, direct way, what I'm going to go do with my hands. So I'm going to take a workshop on writing. I'm going to take a theory workshop for music online. We talked about the Speakers League. We talked about when we were knitting as a family, watching those videos, and then we go and we work with our hands. People do this a lot with Lego. They do it with woodwork. We did this with woodworking. When Leanne was learning woodworking, we would watch how to set the scroll saw up, the different designs, how to maneuver, and then we would go do it. And I know those are very specific examples, but I want to use those because I think that that's what the internet can serve as. It can actually open up the outside world, the world, in a way where you're able to enjoy it more. And I think that's a fine line, right? Because I know I can speak for myself when I've been trying to figure out, I think of when we're making our deck back there that we set the tent up on. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go watch a video, on how somebody sets their footings or whatever, for, a tent like this or for a deck like this. And I watched the 12-minute video and it is very helpful. And then it's like, 45 minutes later, I'm still just on my computer watching something. And so there is always that trap, especially with things like YouTube. And so we are being very thoughtful about how we're using our screens for ourselves and our children. And I think it is incredible that we have this opportunity to educate our children at home, to expose them to things that they are then able to go take and apply their hand to, and work with their hands. And so the way I gauge it for myself, and it's just like trying to be as honest as I can with myself, right? Because ultimately we're holding ourselves accountable here, is, and I've done this for a while, is it's like, am I more motivated to act like the man that I feel like I'm called to be when I consume this thing, or less? And I know that's like, sounds very like, oh, you're so, holy, or, like you hold yourself to such a high standard. No, I don't do this perfectly, but I can remember even back when I would have social media, I felt like very pragmatic at the time when I would be friends with people, and I was just aware of how my emotions would change so dramatically if I saw their posts, or if they would comment on my posts, or what it was. And even before we got rid of social media on our smartphones, I just, muted those people, right? You're like, it's not helpful for me as a father to see this old high school friends posts, or to see what they say about my posts. And I think we can do that on a far more extreme level when it comes to what we consume. Like when just like real time, when I watch, March Madness, like how does that actually affect me in the things that I've written down on a list are most important to me for this month, right? For the month of April. It's like, these are my priorities. And then I go and I watch March Madness, and am I more likely to achieve those things or less likely to achieve those things? And I will say I do still enjoy media, but some things actually do set me up to be that man more than other things. I'm getting into the weeds here, but that's really how we want to use media for ourselves and for our kids.
Yeah, I would say something else I would touch on is YouTube's phenomenal. Okay, because of the free nature of YouTube, but you do pay for it, and you pay for it with your attention and ads and advertisements. And so for that reason, we do not let our children learn things on YouTube. Yes, Elisha and I go to YouTube. We do utilize it as a source, but if our children are going to be consistently going to something, and even honestly, I field videos before and I'll teach the kids something, but if they're going to be watching the video on their own, we pay for a platform.
Yep.
Because we don't want ads. And I know that you can do that with YouTube. You can pay to have the ads taken off the videos or stuff like that. But I just feel I like closed platforms. Like I like knowing what my kids are going to get.
Sure. There's not going to be a recommended video after this one is done playing, or the side. Yeah.
Or the sidebars, or just all the things that
shorts
could be
or whatever,
clicked on. Yeah. It doesn't make me comfortable. And this is ongoing. I will probably get more and more particular about this, honestly, as our kids get older and quicker at using a computer, because It's just so quick to open a browser, close a browser, and I can't be there 24/7 while they're using the internet. And so, although, we want to have an open door policy and the computer nearby and all those things, something that we also facilitate, like we have a crafting subscription to woodworking and sewing and knitting videos, where the kids can go and we can learn those things. And it's kind of a similar concept where they're able to learn from these experts and apply that knowledge, but they aren't, it's not YouTube. So as great as I think YouTube is, it's not where our kids are going in the near future to be learning things. Yeah.
And so anyways, where we're currently at, I am thrilled as to where we're at. I think that's why I felt compelled to do this video, because I'm like, dude, I'm over here like proud of ourselves, because I do feel like our children are able to sit down in front of a screen, learn from it, go then practice it by themselves. So it's like a 20-minute lesson on something, whether it's in knitting or it's sewing or in a piano. They do a 20-minute video, and then that opens up like hours worth of activity for them away from the screen. To me, that ratio is phenomenal. I love that ratio that we're getting. And then
it's leverage. It really is leveraging it.
Exactly. You're leveraging technology. And then I go back to like, what do they do for fun and entertainment? Our kids, when they have free time, when it's a Saturday, a Sabbath, or it's a family evening, they do not gravitate towards a screen or ask for a screen. Nobody asks for a family movie. It's a total surprise out of nowhere when it's a family movie, and it like blows their mind. But when it's a Saturday Sabbath, they're all finding their books, their puzzles, they're drawing. They're doing arts and crafts. Like that's what they're suggesting. They're asking us if we can do that with them and if they can do that with us. And I'm thrilled. Like I'm thrilled that where their brain goes is they want to enjoy, because I think this has actually helped their reading progress. We've got some great readers in our home.
Lots of hours reading.
Yeah. And I just think because that's like, if screens were an option, that would always be the easiest form of story for them would be via the screen. But instead, it's like they want to get into a good story. They know they're going to have to read right now. And so that's helping their reading in every area. So anyways, I'm really happy with where we're at currently. And this is the big reveal. We actually purchased. Should I say this publicly?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not embarrassed by it.
We purchased not a smartphone. Nope. We do not have smartphones, but we did purchase 10 days ago an iPad. So we now own an iPad. And so this is the first, like, what do you call those? Like touch screens, something that can download apps. This is the first time we've owned one and that's been in our house for 2.5 years or 3 years.
4 years.
4 years since you got rid of your phone?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow, that's crazy. The reason is that if any of you read Top 5 Tuesday, you're probably familiar with the love-hate relationship I have with our dog and how I've tried and failed to keep that guy on our property, and how it's been a interesting way in which I've been able to get to know our neighbors. And that is driving to a neighbor we haven't met yet and pulling our dog off of their dog or getting them out of their yard. Okay,
I have to pause real quick. If you don't know what Top 5 Tuesday is, you need to look down in the description box. We'll have it linked. It's so funny, you guys. I literally laugh out loud whenever I read this. And I'm not the only one. It's not just because I'm Elisha's wife. You guys send emails back saying you laughed out loud too. And your kids are like, what are you laughing at? And then you read it all as a family. And it makes me so happy. So anyways.
Yeah, so I say that to say whatever you call that, like invisible fence, dog technology, really the one we wanted required an app that we were not able to get on our computers. And so we got the iPad. Literally, that was the primary reason was keeping our dog.
It's not the primary reason. It's the only reason.
Well, I think
it's literally in a drawer.
Yes.
Because I don't like touch screen technology.
Right.
So it's just in a drawer.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is, basically now that we have the ability to have apps, I think we're going to be like very choosy and picky. Mm-hmm. It's like we would still prefer to have stuff on our laptop computers, but obviously there are many apps that you can only get on these devices. And so
it's handy to have. I will say that. Yeah. I mean, there's things like we knew this was coming in our future. We've mentioned it on a podcast before because last year we felt like mere children that were totally irresponsible when we had to ask my Uncle Wade, you guys know who he is, asked him to come over with his smartphone that could download an app so we could get our Starlink internet set up on our property. Yeah. Because you had to have the the mobile app. And so it was only a startup thing. So he literally started it up for us a year ago. Yeah. And we haven't had to do anything with it since. But there are things like that where it's like, okay, we can't be mooching off other people's phones. We need a place to be able to use apps that are important. Well, but yeah, it stays in a drawer. It's like, I don't have any of our login information linked to it. It's not like the iPad's evil. It's great.
We just don't use it.
Yeah, we just don't use it.
Yeah, and something else that's enabled us to not have smartphones is our awesome team, Lauren and Megan, and just their willingness, to like we will ask them to do things on their phones for us, that we can't do on our devices. And so, but I'm with you, Katie. I've probably 2 or 3 times a year since I got rid of a smartphone, I have been really tempted to get a phone, not because of my own, like for my own life, I love my life so much more not having a smartphone. Like I just enjoy my life more. But when I felt like I was letting other people down because of my lack of technology, that's where it's like, oh man, like I am useless here. In fact, I'm a liability and people are kind of having to cover for me because I'm not able to do what's required, what's required. But again, that comes up maybe twice a year where I feel that. And obviously I don't feel bad enough to get a phone, but I've considered
people do that to you more than twice a year. I mean, I feel like we're all liability to each other probably more than twice a year. So that's one way we are.
To each other or?
To other people.
Oh.
I think friends are a liability at some point for some reason.
Oh, sure.
You know what
like
I
a
mean?
good
Where
friend.
someone bails you out for something.
Absolutely.
So
But when
really
it
feel
feels
bad.
like you're one purchase away from, remedying that thing, you're kind of like, oh, this wouldn't be an issue if I just had a smartphone. It's really tempting to just, remedy that. But not tempting enough.
I will say this though. Our team doesn't need their phones to run the business. If they wanted to go smartphone free, they could too.
Oh, sure.
We are gonna be like, you have to have your
that's
phone.
not like a prerequisite.
In terms of we can run the online businesses. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Unless there's something that I'm missing. Like
Well,
even
sometimes
like
I
that
still don't know.
double factor authentication,
Exactly.
it comes to my flip phone.
It does.
I do that. I do it myself.
See, because I've never been able to get that whenever it says, hey, open the or tap on the link.
Yeah. And I say,
it's
can't
like-
do it. And it says it's going to take 3 to 5 days and you have to do it that way. And I say, try another way. And it says it's impossible. It literally says it's impossible. And I hit go and then it sends it to my phone. So I think they're trying to deter people because they say we can't send a text to your phone. But then when I hit go, the text comes and I'm able to sign on.
Wow. That's cool. Because I've never
which is
been
trippy.
able to figure out that, to get that figured out.
Because I used to ask Lauren and Megan to do the double authentication thing for me to log in, and I don't have to do it anymore.
Wow. That's
Maybe
awesome.
my phone's gotten smarter.
Yeah, that
It's
could
AI.
be. Yeah, because it could be because your flip phone actually, I think, can get on the internet, unlike my light phone.
Yes, it can.
So I wonder if that's a factor there.
Probably.
Yeah. Anyways,
Oh,
I don't know if this was groundbreaking to anybody, but we just wanted to give you guys an update because, if you bump into our children, like at church or something, or you bump into them on the street and you ask them what they've been up to, we want to make sure that we've covered our bases and that, yes, we do use screens in our home.
I think that's the thing. It's like we use screens. Screens do not use us.
Nice.
And I feel like that might sound totally cheesy, but it's 100% true. And that's just how we want to keep it. If we can use them, that's great. They're not evil. But if they start to use us, we just shut it down.
Amen.
We cut that eye off if it offends us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right now it's going great. Okay, I know this was not an ad for Voteberg Music Academy, but I have to say this real quick because the kids have been practicing every single day their piano. And I am so happy with this feature that if the kids come out of the room and they have a question, our room with the piano is right off the kitchen. So they have the door open, but it's a little quieter with all the carpet in there, which is nice. And so, I'm in the kitchen, they come out and are like, Mommy, I'm not understanding what this is. Or I hear them getting frustrated in there. I'm able to go in there and I'm like, okay, minute 5, let's go over this. Or they're playing their song and they're playing it wrong. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. I go in there, I watch a couple minutes of the lesson and I'm like, okay, this is what you need to do. It's so nice because I remember learning the piano as a kid and I'd go out to my mom and I'd be like, I forgot what my teacher told me and I can't remember. And she's like, well, you just have to wait till next week. Yeah, I'm serious. Like she didn't know how to troubleshoot. I don't know how to play the piano by ear. So I don't know what the kids are doing in there. And so it's very helpful for me to just go in and just immediately troubleshoot for them. And I think it's one reason why they learn so fast.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've just been super, super stoked with this because obviously Elisha's their fiddle teacher. So we do in person for fiddle. So this is our first experience of only doing a virtual teacher. And so anyways, I'm pretty happy with it. Just had to say that.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Nice, folks. Hey, we'd love to hear what your favorite online resources are or screen resources are, because as you know, our children, they're growing up. We want more and more opportunity for them to learn, to grow in their capabilities. And so what are you guys using what are you using in your homes? We'd love to hear. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.